Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
And we are live. I am Marc Dumont. I will be your host tonight. Late show. Listen, I'm sure some of you will be listening to it tomorrow, but I do appreciate the people that made it in. I am joined today by a fantastic host who will be covering Edmonton. Ash, how's it going?
Good. I'm actually going very well. First, I feel like a really quality Oilers game in a long time. Makes me feel very good as a fan and as a host of the show.
Now isn't that perfect? Nothing. And you know what? I know the Montreal Canadiens lost, but getting a point against the Edmonton Oilers is not the worst result in the world, considering they are desperate right now to get points, and every team that they're fighting with lost tonight. So this, even though the Edmonton Oilers were clearly the best team tonight, wasn't the worst result for the Montreal Canadiens. So first off, let's send it out west. Ash, just give me your overall impressions of the Oilers this year heading into the deadline. What do they need? How confident are you? Because it feels like every year the confidence level kind of wavers. How's the vibe right now? Let's put it that way in Edmonton.
Yeah, I mean, like, very often, especially for the past few years, when now McDavid, Draisaitl, we are in this, we're waiting for the playoffs, we're waiting to see who our first opponent is. We want to look at the holes in our roster, and what can be fixed, and what can improve towards the playoff series. And recently, there are a lot of things on the Oilers that have been going very, very wrong. McDavid has not been playing 100%. Our goaltending has not been very good. Our usually very underrated defense has not been playing very well. Our depth scoring has completely fallen off. And over this, lost 6 of the last 7 on the road, really, really, really difficult. And now we're going into the trade deadline, and people are clamoring for a goalie. And we pick up Trent Frederick the other day. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Today, there's another trade at Jake Wallman. We'll talk about that.
Oh yeah. Detroit fans won't like the Wallman trade.
Oh no, definitely not. But there's 2 new faces on this Oilers team tonight. Max Jones, who we got in the Trent Frederick trade,
looked great.
Oh my God, dude. And Cam Deanan, defenseman from Bakersfield, who, because Matthias Ekholm, sick, and he's out tonight because Four Nations. Kind of same thing with McDavid. He's been kind of banged up, kind of exhausted from that. Same thing with Victor Arvidsson. John Klingberg as well. He's also out. So we have Stetcher and Cam Deanan. So 2 new faces in Jones and Deanan, and oh my God, they played amazing. Jones with that assist on Corey Perry. Oh my God, it's so great, and he just looks like a dog out there, like an absolute goddamn dog.
Yeah,
and it's just so nice to see. It's so nice to see. If you're an Oilers fan, this is the first game since Four Nations where you can actually feel confident in this team.
And that's, I think, going to play such a big part, right, for Edmonton going forward, is that confidence level. Yeah. It's almost, and I know they had won championships at that point, but when the Bulls were going up against the Knicks at one point and Jordan just couldn't get to that next level, I almost see the Oilers in the same situation. Best player in the world, but you just need that little edge to get over. So do you think Max Jones is the Scottie Pippen, or actually it would be the Dennis Rodman? He'd be the Dennis Rodman of the Oilers.
Hilarious.
But it's that energy, right? You need that energy at this point to kind of rekindle it.
It's just, I think, like, seeing these 2 guys who, like, are popping into the lineup for their first games, just perform, not only perform very well, but also perform with the trust. Knobloch, who very much these Oilers coaches do not like to trust these younger players, Dylan Holloway, Philip Broberg, Matt Savoy. Oh my God.
Savoy got sent back down, right? Today, is that what I saw?
Yes, that was for a loan. He
got papered. Oh, okay. Playoffs,
right, for
AHL
paper
playoffs.
transactions coming at the trade deadline.
Okay.
Not too much of a worry, but the biggest thing is that we saw Knobloch trust young guys. We have literally never, ever seen that before. Never seen, like, it not just be McDavid, Draisaitl immediately, whatever, right? Like, this is like Janmark, like, whatever. Like, this was a really, really good sign from the Oilers, just kind of like all around. I mean, I'm feeling confident. This is definitely like the most inspired after an Oilers game I've been in since the Four Nations break. So I'm really really happy.
We also, by the way, thank you, Adams here and Outrageous here as well. Claire came and left. Hi, bye, and Trinka always here. Ash, let's before it's funny you're talking about the faith in the young players because for the first time in a very long time, the Habs. Martin St. Louis has been just a breath of fresh air when it comes to that. Like he trusted Lane Hudson immediately. So who do you think?
God, Lane Hudson.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, and I will say this: thank you to Matthias Janmark because that's the other side of Lane Hudson. We saw that today on the power play, trying that little dipsy doodle, and he got caught. The good outweighs the bad, and it's a great play to show that Martin St. Louis had him right back out there the next shift. So which player do you think, on top of who we've discussed, do you think could really end up playing a big role for the Oilers young player down the stretch and into the playoffs? Because that's when those heroes show up out of nowhere, right? So who are you looking at?
I mean, right now I'm looking at Matt Savoy, like 100%, 100%. Like that's he's the guy. He's playing minutes with Draisaitl. He was one of our best forwards over this like bad road trip. Yeah, his line with Draisaitl got shelled against the Ducks. Put that aside, terrible game. Matt Savoy is going to be a very, very good, if not a near, I don't want to say star, but some like NHLE models, they're so high on him, and I'm really high on him. I think he's going to be absolutely amazing. Obviously, he wasn't here tonight, but I think seeing energy from the bottom six that we haven't seen, because if you have been listening to me or Austin or Avery or anybody that's not like Mark Spector in Oilers media, we're all losing our goddamn minds over Janmark and Henrique and Connor Brown, this third line that just doesn't do anything. They don't go
and they
anywhere.
Get all the minutes. Never
anything. And we just wonder what these like these older guys just have a spell. Is it because they play PK? It must be because they play PK because they're a black hole offensively. So seeing Max Jones, he's shooting the puck at the net. Like what? He's not like feigning around looking for a pass. He's just being aggressive out there. It's so nice. Even if I don't expect Jones to be in the lineup like 24/7 going forward. I mean, after this game, I think he 100% deserves it. I mean, I think he is at least deserves like a third line spot. But that's kind of Matt Savoy. Of course, Max Jones now. Trent Fredericks again on the older side. He's probably not going to come into the playoffs, but these new additions, I like it. I'm a bit of a fan. That's kind of where I'm looking forward for the Oilers with these new additions.
We'll get to some of what the Canadians did and what they're gonna do, but before that, let's kind of close it out on the Oilers here. What about the goaltending? Because I'll admit, and it's so easy for me. Last year, I was such a prick on social media because I kept mentioning hey, it's great that you kept that third round pick, but Jake Allen could be on your team right now, sporting a 910 save percentage. It was kind of, to me, it was almost disrespectful to McDavid not to listen. What the Lightning are doing is a little bit crazy, but there's some logic to their madness there, right? It's once you have that chip, it lasts forever. So let's talk about that goaltending situation. It looked fine tonight. How confident are you going into tomorrow with the goalies that they have now?
I am not very confident. I love Stuart Skinner, and listen. Skinner's gotten a lot of heat.
Yeah.
And it's kind of deserved because he's been playing very, very poorly all year, really. And I think it would be a mistake to trade him. I think it would be a mistake to get rid of him. But he cannot be the number one right now. He can't. He's like 25, 26. That's really young from a goalie standard. That's not top notch. And remember when he was second in Calder voting, he was top notch. He has the capability to be a very, very good, if not great goaltender. He doesn't have the consistency yet
to be a starter.
And I don't think I don't think people should expect him that. He is going to be a very solid 1B right now, and he will be a starter, a very confident starter a few years in the future. But a third round pick for Jake Allen would literally be perfect. But
That's
you know,
what it
you
was
saw
last year. They could have had
just
that
got signed,
in
right?
a second. Yeah. Then the Devils really liked them and they kept them. But
Yeah.
that's what it was. Or even they probably would have taken like a fourth. It was. But
Yeah.
Jake
No, I
Allen,
know.
he also wanted to go to Edmonton. He didn't want to go to New Jersey, but that's a whole different. He actually nixed the trade with New Jersey, believe it or not. Okay, so right now, what 898 is Skinner, what's Skinner is 898. Picard's 896. That's not
Picard is-
enough.
And people can look at, oh, Pickard has, you know, a pretty decent record. You know, he's winning games here and there. No, dude, he's feeding on the bottom feeders. This guy, listen, I'm grateful for him on this team. I like the guy. I think he's a good guy. He's an AHL starter. He's an AHL starter, and we all know that, and we've known that for years. And there's just no reason to not get a goalie like Vechmelka, like Gibson before he got hurt, like Jordan Binnington, like
Just get
Jake Allen, right? Like, there's no reason that, like, the Oilers are not giving up assets to solidify one of our biggest weaknesses.
It's
I
a
just don't
glaring
understand it.
weakness. It's been years, right? That's the
And it has
biggest
been.
issue. Yeah.
When was the last time we had an elite goalie? It was Mike Smith. I love Mike Smith to death.
Right? You know, it's
God,
funny
it was
because
Mike Smith. And then it was Cam Talbot in 2016.
I'm just thinking they need
Lord, this
that,
is
like,
really the state of goaltending.
they're going with the Grant Fuhr plan right now, but it's not the 80s anymore, and you can't score 9 goals to overcome the 7 that he allowed, right? Like
Jason Gregor literally put it the other day.
said he's looking for
tweeted someone.
Fuhr.
He quote tweeted someone who was like saying that, oh, Skinner's like the worst Oilers goalie in a playoff season since like Grant Fuhr or something. Like obviously a stat that's really bad.
Yeah.
And Jason Gregor, notorious Edmonton guy, quote tweets that and is like, you know, whenever a goalie's mentioned in the same conversation as Grant Fuhr, that's a good thing. Oh my God!
Look,
we are not doing this. We are
now,
not doing this. We are actually.
I love
that.
that.
Now.
I love that Grant Fuhr won all those cups because it really showed the firepower that was. And you know, just to kind of wrap up this Edmonton discussion, when we're talking about adding more talent, Gretzky, those teams, man, they were loaded. Like, take Wayne Gretzky out.
God.
I mean, they did the year they left. They still got to the final. If I remember, yeah, exactly. Did they actually win that year? They did win the cup. Yeah. They did. So they won. They would have won another 5 with him, but just the Yeri Currys of the world, you know, being around him, and that just goes to show you have to have that talent, right? You have to insulate your world class talent.
Speaking of, you want to know what happened in Marc Messier terms? Leon Draisaitl is now past Marc Messier for
isn't that crazy?
4th
All-time
goals in Oilers history in 70 less games.
Okay, because I was wondering, Ash, I'm like, wait a minute,
games.
I'm like, am I just underestimating how long Messier played in Edmonton, or has Draisaitl just been that good? It's the latter, right?
Draisaitl is right now
the best goal scorer on the
player in
planet,
league
by far.
And
Right now.
Leon Draisaitl has been the best or the second best player in the league for what, 8 years now?
Which is why I keep looking at that.
Already won a Hart.
See,
he's already
that's
won a
Jordan
Hart
and that's Jordan and Pippen right there. I'm sorry, but it's just the perfect parallel. Now they need their Dennis Rodman. We'll see if Max Jones will complete that. And obviously there's some moves to be made tomorrow. But from what I'm hearing, there's a lot of teams willing to go all out. Edmonton's not necessarily in that boat because they've been hearing criticism for kind of throwing away assets. But, you know, the logic here is that a championship lasts forever, right? So we'll jump in.
You look at how aggressive Brisebois is, right? Like you just have
people
to
laugh at him, but
in.
Guess what? He's going for it. If you want to ride by the riverboat, you got to go down by the river. You know, it's as simple as that. So I always look at it this way, Ash. That 4th round pick that you held on to that scored almost a point per game in the Finnish, you know, junior league probably won't make it to the NHL. Now, I'm not saying they all won't, but just the logic, I feel like in the NHL, they're so afraid of making mistakes that they forget about the not taking a risk part of risk management. Sitting there and doing nothing could end up being the greatest risk, right?
I mean, like you have Bill Zito or Brisebois, or you have Eric Polsky in the Oilers GM seat. Are we still thinking about McDavid not having a championship?
No, there'd be a lot more trades and a lot fewer Savoie would be gone. There'd be a few first rounders gone, but you'd be looking at the favorite team to win the Stanley Cup, right?
I mean, when was the last time Tampa Bay had a first round pick? It's like one in the last
yeah,
decade. It's
like,
actually insane. Same with Vegas. Like that's just like, winners mentality. And the Oilers have just
and
never had
I
that.
love it because it's what the NHL desperately needs, right? A little bit of it. Like in
Yeah.
the NBA, every year, 12 teams go
Oh
for
my
it.
God, NBA is
Right?
crazy.
Right?
Like,
And in the
I don't-
NHL, I swear
insane.
they're putting up banners like, yeah, we saved $8 million on our salary cap. Like, yeah, here we go.
At least the cap's gonna go way up.
Yeah. We saved a 5th round pick that we picked on a goalie that's playing in the Danish league. All right, so let's discuss real quick. We talked about it earlier. Lane Hudson. I'd like to get, because Habs fans, believe it or not, have been pretty loud about late. This is strange, but Habs fans have been loud.
Yeah.
It's the first game-changing presence. And tonight I wrote, like, hey, Connor McDavid, even though he doesn't have his best games against the Habs, he had 2 points tonight. Not his best game, though. He's a game-changing talent no matter what. Leon Draisaitl's a game-changing talent. The Montreal Canadiens, and I don't think Carey Price was one. He was amazing, but he wasn't like a guy that will... You can't, as a goalie, you can't change the flow of the game and score goals. Like, he's a legend, but he can't flip the switch in a game. Lane Hudson can, and it's been so fun to watch him. And it's a good timing now because you know who he reminds me of? This is really, really putting him up there, and it's almost too arrogant. But Paul Coffey, he really makes me think of Paul
crazy.
Coffey.
Listen.
I know.
I like him a lot.
I know.
I like him a lot.
I know.
And I totally get it. I totally see it. You know what? I am totally fine with kind of that kind of production, especially if he keeps improving at this rate.
He might
Like,
end
it's
up
actually
with the
kinda
most
crazy what
assists
he does.
in NHL history for a rookie defenseman. And like we're talking about an era. Well, the goals are a little bit higher. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but yeah. But Paul Coffey
he's
now
just stellar to watch out there.
and Paul Coffey was the reason I put it that high is because to me Paul Coffey was pure entertainment, right? He was and
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna actually pull up because maybe you know what I might be thinking because I know he was playing with a great team, but geez, he had some amazing seasons, didn't he, Paul Coffey? Like some unreasonable
Oh my
seasons,
God, yeah.
eh? Did he? Yeah. Okay. He hit over 120 points 3 years in a row. 148. Okay. You know what? I retract my previous Lane Hudson comparison.
When we do era adjustment, when we
won't be
adjust
that
for,
far.
for era, it'll be a little less.
But
I
still.
think like Lane Hudson currently as a rookie, and this is what he's doing. Listen, if you have a coach like St. Louis,
Mhm.
and you can just keep improving, you can kind of hunker down on that like defensive game.
Yeah.
This kid's gonna be an absolute star. I mean, he already is. I mean, he literally already is.
Jumped in and immediately was the best player in the lineup. Like, okay, that's kind of underselling what Nick Suzuki brings to the ice. And sometimes, not always, sometimes Cole Caulfield can kind of match it. But he's at the beginning of his career, and he's already an absolute game-changing presence there. So, hey, we have our, how's it going? Genius is here. Love the Jones guy. Yeah. I mean, even me,
Yeah.
I wasn't really watching him too closely, but I noticed him nonstop, and it's that energy level. It's that that extra push every shift. To me, that's what Jones was bringing to.
Yeah, and he had real chemistry with Kapanen and Perry out there, who solidified just like an absolutely wonderful fourth line for the Oilers. One that I am always super confident in.
Right.
I really love Corey Perry on this team, and seeing Max Jones play well with him is a really good sign because that's a nice fourth line. That's a nice
Right?
fourth line.
Trinko mentions it seems weird that Edmonton doesn't go after a goaltender, and yeah. I mean, it really is. But that's a Canada thing. Again, I really feel like they're almost too afraid to make mistakes. It's all about not getting fired, not getting criticized too much, right? It's just sticking that status quo. That's what we love. Wendy Hardy says in French, bonsoir. I swear to God, I can speak French. I swear to God. I was born French. Bonsoir, j'étais vraiment nerveuse pendant la prolongation ce soir. So Wendy's saying really nervous during overtime tonight. I'll say this.
Oh, well, what an overtime. Oh
The
my
Habs,
God, what an overtime.
I didn't feel like I often try to get the sense of how the Habs are feeling on the ice. I didn't feel like they were stressed out in overtime. And let me know what you think, Ash. They looked pretty relaxed tonight, even though they were getting outplayed by the Oilers by a pretty big, margin. The Habs weren't, squeezing their stick too. They're capitalizing on their chances lately, and they're playing relaxed hockey while in a playoff race. That's the pretty decent advantage when you're not playing.
No, it's definitely poised. And like for like this Habs team, that's what you want to see. Now overtime, was quite sloppy
Yeah.
from both sides. It was very entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
Very nerve-wracking. Evan Bouchard, oh my dear, my absolute,
He's exactly what
my
Edmonton
favorite
needs.
player in the league.
They need 2 more
Oh my
Bouchards.
god, dude, his turn. I constantly defend him.
And he
You know
has
what?
that
Get a
clapper
point,
from
and
like
he
the
literally got
80s
the goal
too.
tonight.
He's got that like
Yeah,
power from
he
the
literally
80s.
does.
He has that Al Iafredi winning the All-Star competition in 1992 with a skullet power in him. That's what Evan Bouchard, and I've kind of been watching from the outside, but I've been seeing a almost a battle. And then I look at the numbers and I'm like, well, you guys shouldn't be battling in Edmonton. He's like, his numbers are fantastic. There should be really
No, I mean, like, it's because puck moving defensemen and Canadian media, they just hate you. They literally, like, if you don't throw the body, because Evan Bouchard does not hit. He does not hit.
And he's a big boy.
And you know what? And I mean, he just doesn't hit. He never
That's
hits.
fine.
He's never.
He's
been a
busy
physical player.
winning
But
hockey
you know what?
games.
You want to know what? You know what? It doesn't matter.
No.
Because you know what? Him and Cam Keenan. When was the last time anyone has watched Cam Keenan play? If you don't watch Bakersfield, it's never.
Laval, I
14-2.
catch them once a year, maybe.
Shots, unblocked shot attempts, 7-0 shots.
So he had 100%. He was running at
Bouchard and
100% shot control tonight.
Yep.
Not bad at all.
Yep.
Not bad
It
at all.
was. Yeah. Like Bouchard is just
He's what the
and,
Oilers need more of, basically. If you could find another,
I mean, like, I can't wait to pay that guy $11 million. We're gonna probably not. People would literally say that that's like, dude,
No.
there are literally fans who are like Jake Wallman, like a Bouchard replacement.
no, and we have to be
Evan
serious
Bouchard,
here. Like,
I love him.
we're already, I'm already looking at Hudson's contract. I mean, you can sign him as early as July 1st, and I'm thinking the Habs, they'd be silly not to throw 12 million times 8 and pray to God that he signs it. You know, and I've gotten GMs, or not, well, assistant GMs and scouts that send me messages like, calm down. That is such a stupid thing to say about a rookie. And you look at the trajectory of the cap, and if you sign at that percentage and you lock him in for 8 years, you know, even the same thing with Bouchard. We're going to get to that point. We're going to get to the 12 million for, you know, we're at 8 million for the high-end defenseman. We're going to get to 12 million pretty darn
I mean,
soon.
how much does Cale McCarron? I understand Evan
Was he
Bouchard
9
like,
or 10 or I don't know. Yeah.
Evan Bouchard right now makes like $3 million because
Right?
he's on a bridge deal.
Okay.
But Evan Bouchard, I expect, is going to sign for like $9.5, $10 million.
Those bridge deals, they all backfire.
It's gonna be great.
Right. Okay, Cale McCarr is only making $9 million, which is actually like a very, very
crazy.
reasonable.
How long ago did you sign that though?
This is
He
year
signed
4,
that,
so he
like, 5
signed it
years
in
ago, right?
2021. So then there was a flat cap for about 4 years. So that next year will be such a tiny percentage of the overall cap, which is how you kind of have to look at it, right? So if Lane Hudson or Evan Bouchard signs for 12 million, let's say it's 9%, the next year, actually it's 8.4%. The next year it's 7%. By the end of the contract, it's 3 or 4% of the total cap, and which is actually a very reasonable cost. I mean, the Habs right now, they're kind of looking a little smart for having signed Suzuki and Caulfield for, you know, at one point I was thinking, geez.
Especially that Jake Evans contract. What's
Hey,
that? How
great.
long was that?
It was 4 years with 2.8 million
years
or
for
something. Yeah.
2.8?
And this is a guy that's
That
getting
is
15 goals a
amazing
year.
contract.
Fantastic on the penalty
That's an
kill.
amazing contract.
Now here was the most important part. And if you have any questions, we're gonna wrap this up because it's getting a little late in Montreal. But
Yeah, no problem.
Evans, for me, the big sign there was he was willing. He was like, I'm happy, man. I am happy here. My wife is happy here. I love my teammates. I love where I play. I love the fans. Why? And this is, to me, shows his cerebral approach to this. Why would I go knocking down doors for an extra few million over my career, right? Like, he could immediately fall in a position where he's out of favor and no longer doing what he loves, right? He could go the Carl Alsner route and have he could have gotten 4 million, but it would have ruined his reputation and his value. So to me, it was just a smart decision with foresight, even though he did leave some money on the table. And it goes to show these guys are kind of excited of what's happening in Montreal because they're right there. And you've seen Edmonton go through this. It's taking that next step is so difficult, but we're starting to see the evidence that the Habs might be able to
Especially with like the outcome of this wild card race, which is just absolutely insane in the East. Oh my
Right?
God, you guys are
East
crazy over
is
there. Like what's going on?
Every
you gotta
year.
figure it out.
every year and
Figure it out.
like Montreal's tied with Ottawa, and Ottawa's been fighting like a diable dans l'eau bénite, so like a, sorry, the term is the devil in holy water to make it to the playoffs, and the Habs are just like casually walking up to the playoffs. We'll see. They're not favored right now, but they have about 20% odds, and they have the easiest strength of schedule in the East, which is
That is really good.
not the worst thing in the world, and young guys playing loose, right? So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to throw that in the chat. I did completely forget to say like the chat, but you guys have all liked the chat. You guys have all followed. You guys have all subscribed. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to do more, there's more information under the stream here, but we just appreciate that you're here. We're genuinely thankful to have your support there. Okay, Ash, tomorrow. Trade deadline. What's your prediction for Edmonton here? Because I'm hearing all sorts of stuff, but it's so hard. You know, they always throw in like, when the Oilers are talking, the Leafs are Leafs, Habs.
God,
they throw it in for a
only
click,
insider
right?
I trust is like Elliot Friedman, because everyone's like, oh yeah, but the Oilers might be on
Darren
this.
Drager lately has been doing that.
Yeah.
The no
What's
information
that
report.
one copy pasta that's like multiple teams are involved. Hearing a pick, a player, and prospect
Possibly.
could be involved.
Perhaps.
The situation is developing.
We'll see.
It's so funny.
Not done yet. Rumbling.
literally. Dude. So with the news that Evander Kane is likely going to be LTR for the rest of the season.
Ooh, opening up some cap space there.
And then we have the Jake Wallman trade, who, oh my God, I cannot believe it. Jake Wallman. Oh, this is going to be so good. I love Jake Wallman.
Yeah.
The
Red Wings must be just kicking themselves right now.
God,
That
dude.
they paid a
The
second to
Yzerman
get rid of
is
him. Oh my God. Is
Yeah,
Yzerman
and
a
we're
good
not-
GM? Honestly, Ash, because I don't think he is. I look at what he's doing and he keeps he does everything right, and then he just
so.
he Kevin with the chili there. He Kevin with the chili at the end of every year, and he dumps a whole bowl of chili on himself at the end of every year.
I don't think so. I don't.
I don't know. I think he gets a
don't
lot
know.
of respect for what he did on the ice, but as a GM, the foresight has not been there, and that's the greatest risk, right? I look at Habs fans are like, "Yo, we want to win now." No. You don't want to do what Detroit or Buffalo did, because you can't press fast forward on a rebuild. So any odds for the Oilers? Yeah, goalie, defenseman.
So with Wallman, it doesn't look like there's any retention. So the Oilers have about like $1 million in cap space. With the Wallman pickup, he does play the left side. So if you are an Oilers fan, you're like, that's interesting. We have 4 left-handed defensemen now.
There's
that
no
seems
right-handers,
like what happened last year, which
thing.
is true. So, but that means that Nurse Kulak, who played very well tonight, again, Nurse Kulak, I really like that pairing. Kulak playing the right side.
Kulak's on his off, yeah.
Done pretty well. Yep.
He's I mean, listen, Montrealers love him just because Kulak. He's that lovable, reliable guy,
right? Have ever made.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so happy.
And hey, the Habs ended up getting Lane Hudson out of that. So, but it worked out for both. And Kulak's just that like dependable guy, right? Like just
100%.
captain.
100%.
Yeah, he'll screw up once in 100, and that's pretty good.
I don't think the Oilers, unless they make a really like an actual like dollar in dollar out, because right now the Wallman trade looks like it's gonna be a first, a second, and like a lower tier prospect. Unless we're actually trading someone like Arvidsson or Skinner or Henrique, I think the Oilers are pretty close to done, though I would like to see them move some money for Jake Allen. That would make me very happy.
Yeah,
That
you
would make
get
me
someone
very,
that'll
very,
actually,
that would make my
you know,
heart warm
Vegas
3 sizes,
a few years ago, what they were playing with, it didn't matter what goalie they had in there. They just, they were cycling them through. And then when you get a hot hand in the playoffs, right? That LTR money, is that included when you're talking about $1 million, or are they actually tacking on
that? That is I mean, like that we have $1 million with Kane on LTR.
Oh, okay, that's with Kane already, and that's not cumulative or anything, so that's just stuck there with LTR. It doesn't go up, doesn't go down. Okay, so they could essentially just take in money in, money out with plus $1 million right now. So they would need a team like the Canadians who have about $7 million to absorb some contracts, and it kind of feels like that's.
Do you guys expect to do anything?
That's pretty much what I'm expecting. Is the Habs at one point they have $6.7 million. It's LTIR, it's the carry price fund, so they don't move, they don't go up. But at the end of the year, it's gone, right? So if you can, the thing is, I think they're starting to realize spending $4 million for a 4th round pick or whatever isn't necessarily the best financial investment. That being said, Jeff Molson makes a lot per beer, so you can afford it. I really think they'll end up using a retention slot, and working out a deal with one of the contenders. Because listen, you're looking at Yoel Armia, which he scored tonight, but it is what it is, right? What you see is what you get. And then David Savall. Now, here's the thing, Ash. David Savall plays on the right, and he has a Stanley Cup ring. He's the worst defenseman, bar none, on the team. But the fact that he plays on the right and he has a Stanley Cup ring, who knows? Someone even told me that
someone's gonna get baited.
Someone told me that they had offered a second rounder at one point for him, and I thought, geez, listen, I like the guy, but you run like hell when you see that, a second round pick for David Savall. And other than that, maybe a quick trade to improve the AHL team, but that's about it. Yeah, as Sebastian mentions here, the Canadiens don't need to trade anyone. They really don't. I would really like to see them bring in maybe a little bit of reinforcements for the AHL, because right now the Laval Rocket, I think they passed the Wranglers. They're second or first in the AHL right now. And when you talk about rebuilds and all that, I was just looking over at Buffalo and Chicago and looking at these teams, these players who just really, the stench of losing has infiltrated the locker room, and it's going to be really hard to get out. Then I look at Laval, and they're playing, that's a chance to get some winners, and I know these are intangibles, but it's not as much winning that I'm afraid of. It's the stench of constantly losing that you want to avoid. And if they could reinforce their AHL team, a Calder Cup has never hurt any player's development, right? Like you learn that crucial experience in the playoffs, because it is a completely different game. So I wouldn't mind them going to, get someone. As Trinka mentions, I miss Kulak. But, okay, listen, Kulak ended up being Lane Hudson. So, I think that was the epitome of a win-win trade, right? Lane Hudson. I think you're happy with Lane Hudson, but Habs fans would take Kulak back today, or maybe that's just me. Maybe
I'm sure.
maybe that's just the way I look at it. As Sebastian mentions, I think Montembeault often seems to give up a bad goal. Yeah, well, here's the other part. Tonight, and there was a lot of criticism. That first goal I thought was not great. The last goal wasn't great. That second goal by Leon Draisaitl. You can never criticize a goaltender who's getting screened and a player on the power play who's the best goal scorer on the planet right now and unleashes that release. Ash, that release, does he do that every game? Is that the release that he has? Okay.
Every game, multiple times.
The hell was that?
You know what? This game could have been 7-3, because you know how many posts we hit?
Yeah, there was a bunch of those as well.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And
Oilers, if there's an
McDavid
empty net,
got
a
one.
wide
Yeah,
open net.
McDavid.
Oilers
I mean,
are like, no.
Yeah,
I don't believe in that. I don't believe in an empty net. I think the goalie should be in front of me for me to score. Otherwise, it's not. It's fake.
I'll tell you, that goal from him.
So funny.
That was one of those. Listen, the goalie moves towards it, but he never saw it. Montembeault never saw it. And here's the other part. Listen, I think Montembeault has a lot he can work on, but he's getting paid $3.5 million. He's a mid-tier paid goalie that performs slightly above average. I wouldn't surprise me. Well, actually, here, I'll throw that to you. Would you switch him for either or goaltender on Edmonton right now?
If we can make the money work, I would definitely take Montembeault for Pickard.
Yeah,
I 100% would.
Yeah.
I totally would. I think Montembeault is. I don't think that's the answer to the Oilers' problems, though.
No,
and I don't think. I think like.
But he can play a level above Pickard.
We
right?
need someone who can. That's not. I mean, an upgrade's an upgrade. If that's the best we can do, take it 100 days out of 100. But I think the Oilers should be looking for a guy that can play in front of Skinner and can give him the confidence he needs, because Skinner is a confidence-based goalie. He has a lot of pressure on him. I mean, he is a, he's a hometown boy. He's a young guy. That's a lot of pressure to put on a guy. Like it just is. And I think having. That was kind of the whole thing with Jack Campbell. That was who he was supposed to be, right? That was who Mike Smith was for him. And you know what? That ended up turning out pretty well. But I think we just need a few more years, maybe even just 1 or 2 of just another guy in front of him.
Yeah, a veteran.
Just fire Justin Schwartz. Just fire him into the sun, please, God. I cannot believe that the Oilers have had the same goalie coach for 10 years. Do you know that, by the way?
Is it really?
Had the same goalie coach for 10 years. Yep, Justin Schwartz.
I mean, and it's easy to criticize, and it's also they take too much credit.
All the way back to Devin Dubnyk.
But when you look at
Remember how
Edmonton, And it's funny because as you're mentioning these goalies, I'm just picturing like a scroll with like the list of like the goalies that have gone through Edmonton. Some have been good, some have been
Ben
yeah,
Scrivens,
yeah,
Devin
absolutely.
Dubnyk. Oh my God, Devin Dubnyk was like a star away from Edmonton, but we
Right.
just like clamped down on his
But they
potential and refused to let him
they
go.
do not
And
need a star.
It's Dustin Schwartz.
They need a 905 goalie. That's all it is. They need a goalie that's perfectly average. And to me, the Edmonton Oilers become by far the favorite team to win a Stanley Cup with a perfectly average goaltender.
Right now, I still think the Oilers
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
still the favorite.
Yeah. Right up there.
Oh my God, can you imagine the Oilers with like Karel Vejmelka, who is not a 905? He's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
God, I
above
would do
average in Edmonton?
anything. I
Oh,
would
forget
do
about it.
anything.
Forget about
I
it.
would do anything for
But
Karel
here's
Vejmelka,
here's
but
the scary
it
part
wasn't
because
true.
we were talking about the East earlier. East, who effing knows? But the West is going to be a slaughterhouse as per usual in the playoffs, right? And we always have to remind ourselves, it is so difficult to make it to that point. You know what I mean? Like even, and I hate to say it, the Toronto Maple Leafs are a damn good team, and them getting eliminated first round wasn't like, it was hilarious and it was great for everyone on Twitter.
Obviously very funny.
But it was also evidence that how damn hard it is in the NHL, even with a great team, to make it. You know, it took Ovechkin and the Capitals 12 years to get that cup.
I mean, Ovechkin was literally the poster boy for can't win the playoffs, can't win the playoffs.
But they had a
until
great
he
team.
won.
They had a great team every year. That's the part, right? So you stick with it and you go from there. So hopefully we'll see the Edmonton Oilers. That streak, that record right now that they mention the Canadians every time. It used to be a point of pride in Montreal. It's become a point of embarrassment. You know, yeah, the Canadians are the last team to win the cup. Well, Jean Chrétien was in power, if I remember correctly. So, you know, it was shortly after the fall of the Berlin Wall. You know, so it's been a little while. So let's hope Edmonton finally this year brings the Stanley Cup home. I don't want to.
I mean, it's pretty crazy hearing another Canadian hockey fan being like, "Yeah, I kind of hope Edmonton wins."
Oh yeah,
because I'm so used to dealing with the absolute dredges of society.
Oh yeah,
Vancouver Canuck fans who are like, I literally pray for your downfall every morning. Every morning of my life.
I've gotten to that point where I can't do that. That's too much negative energy. You know what I mean? Like when the Canucks were getting shat on by everyone, I was like, no, okay, you know what? I'm good. But even the Leafs, deep down inside, I'll be like, hey guys, I hope you do well, but I'm going to mercilessly mock you once you fail miserably. So
yeah,
that's the Canadian way. I will pretend to support you, and then when it falls apart, you know, common defense. When it falls apart, that's when we start to laugh. Hey, listen, Ash, I appreciate the talk tonight. Thank you for letting us know what's going on in the West. Thank you to everyone that listened.
Thanks for.
How can we find you on Twitter, Ash?
You can find me at Ash Jubilee anywhere you can.
Perfect.
And Ash Jubilee. I'm anywhere you can.
Ash Jubilee. And I don't suggest following me anywhere. I wouldn't follow me if I could. So, you know, what does that say about you?
That's crazy.
You have a choice. Crazy. You have a choice right now, right? So, all right. Thank you, everybody. And I'm actually heading out to Ontario for a little bit. I'm going to go hang out with my godson. So you're going to be seeing Kay. She's going to be taking over. And once Andrew's, I believe he's going to Calgary, but he'll come back to, then he'll jump back on. But I will be off for a little while. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe, like all that stuff that everyone says every single episode. But the most important thing to us is that you're here, and we do appreciate it. We honestly, genuinely appreciate all the support. And that's our show for tonight. So everybody, take care of yourself. As per usual, we're going to end it the same way. Invest in yourself. It's the best investment you will ever make in your life. And if you're worried that other people are depending on you, well, guess what? Don't burn yourself out taking care of them either, because they need you. So it's a healthy balance. Have a healthy balance in your life, but always invest in yourself. That's true. Best investment you'll ever make in your life. Does that work for you, Ash?
That sounds wonderful.
All right.